Greetings, Pastor Mike here with another Advent reflection. So I've been reading through Father Thomas Hopko's The Winter Pascha, and it's been an excellent read so far. Each chapter is just a short reflection on the season of the Nativity for us in the Western Church. You know, that's Advent and then Christmas time, obviously. And one of the things that he writes about is Mary, and he talks about there's a story that we don't really hear much about in the Western Church, and that's the story of Mary herself as a young child. And there's a book called, I believe it's called the Proto-Evangelium of James, which kind of details the life of the Virgin Mary. And so in the story, she's brought to the temple, and she goes into the Holy of Holies, and she's sort of sustained and kind of hangs out there for a long time. I don't know if that story is true. It's not in Scripture. But what Father Thomas, what he observes in his book, because in the Orthodox Church of which he is a part, they do celebrate that as a feast day. It's a very important one to them, the entrance of the Theotokos into the temple. For us Western Christians, particularly of a Protestant stripe, stories like that about Mary make us uncomfortable, because of Romophobia. We don't want to be seen as too Roman Catholic, especially in regards to Mary. And I think we do ourselves a disservice by neglecting her throughout the rest of the year. Like, we give her a sliver of time during Christmas, but after that, we don't talk about her, we don't think about her, we don't remember her, we don't commemorate her. She's just part of this story that just sort of goes away. And that was not the experience and the practice of the early Christians by any means, leading into this day. And I think that we've lost something of our faith due to neglecting our Blessed Mother. And one of the things that Father Thomas notes in his book is he says that about this entrance of Mary into the temple, its purpose is not so much to commemorate a historical happening as to celebrate a dogmatic mystery of the Christian faith, namely that every human being is made to be a living temple of God. Every human being is made to become a living temple of God. And then he talks about how Mary herself is the first and foremost recipient of the salvation which has come into the world through Jesus Christ, and that she bears Christ in her womb. She's the first one to receive Christ in a way that we can never understand or comprehend. And her humility, saying yes to God's plan, should fill us with humility, because St. Paul reminds us in his epistle to the Corinthians that we ourselves are temples of the living God. We are temples of the living God. And so this Advent season, I'd encourage you to go back and read the Scriptures and look at look at the similarities between many of the biblical stories and the Holy Virgin. Look at the story of all of the childless women in Scripture, childless women in Scripture who received children. You know, you've got Hannah, and you've got Sarah, and you have Samson's unnamed mother, and then you have Elizabeth in the New Testament. And then we have all of these other stories of when David, when they bring him the Ark of the Covenant, he's like, who am I that the Ark of my Lord should come to me? You know, and then when Mary, when she comes before Elizabeth, Elizabeth says the same thing, who is this that the mother of my Lord should come to me? And so we find these parallels sort of all throughout Scripture. And so read Scripture with a fresh eye, particularly concerning Mary this nativity season. And I pray that her humility will be in our hearts, and may we live as temples of God's Spirit, and may Christ be formed in us. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.